In the case of Seville, he is work in progress. He needs to put on a lot more muscle mass, but one has to be careful that you pay attention to his skeletal frame and not overload him. So we're doing it in stages. This year is his second year, or a year and a half, and he has made great stride. However, he has been injured for most of the season, and he has a problem with his toe that has to be rectified. Based on where he is now, without those, he would easily have run under 10 seconds, although I'd expect him to do it at the Olympics. I think he should have gone for it in the heats, because his training does not allow him to repeat at that high level, because we have not been able to train properly for over 3 months because of these injuries. But I am very excited about his upside, and I think his speed is tremendous. He has tremendous leg speed, and if we get everything right, I probably could be smiling again.
Well, Glenn Mills promised it, and Jamaican fans are indeed smiling again. That interview with Coach Glenn Mills was done on the 11th of August last year, and after last Saturday's outstanding run of 9.86 seconds by Oblique Seville, Jamaican athletics fans are again hopeful that the nation could have a contender in the sports blue ribbon event, the 100 meters. After his run on the third stop of the J3A's Jubilee Series, the 21-year-old is now the 6th fastest Jamaican all-time, behind Usain Bolt, Johan Blake, Asafa Powell, Nestor Carter and Steve Mullings. He is the 2nd fastest in the world this year, only behind Kenya's Ferdinand Omanyala, who ran 9.85 in Nairobi. Seville, Elaine Thompson-Herah and Shakira Richardson, all on the agenda for this segment. We go to our in-house analyst, Leighton Levy, as we delve into the issues. Let's start with Oblique Seville. Impressed us as a youngster at Calabar and showed a lot of quality with a very smooth 9.86 on Saturday, Double L. Talk to us about the performance. I note that Atto Bolden's personal best is 9.86 seconds, and he is considered a Caribbean legend, and this youngster has already reached that.
Yeah, got there in terms of time, but of course certainly had some accolades to build on to match Atto's credentials. But I was trackside on Saturday when he ran that time. I was very impressed. In fact, I was surprised, because if you remember, 2 weeks ago he ran 10 flat at that same venue, but the race wasn't particularly great. This one was a little bit better, but he still wasn't, the start wasn't as good as he would have wanted it, but his acceleration was ridiculous. I mean, when he came out of the drive and then started the transition into the acceleration phase, Lance, I mean, everybody who was watching that race gasped at how easily he separated himself from the field. And of course, you know, when you look at the time itself, it tells you what Glenn Mills said last year. This kid has a lot of potential. And even afterwards, when I was talking to him after the race, he felt that it wasn't his best race. And of course, he made mention of the start. But, you know, there's still work to be done. But when you consider that with the mistakes that he made in this race and still running 9.86, clearly, you know, there's a 9.7 in his legs there somewhere. I don't know if it's going to come this season at the World Championships, given that he's healthy now. But I wouldn't be surprised if it does, because his cadence is ridiculous. And if he gets and puts all the elements together in his race, he's going to be something special.
Yeah, Glenn mentioned in that interview we did with him last year, August, that he wanted him to get physically stronger. He does look a few pounds heavier now than he did at Tokyo last year. But talk to us. You've already spoken about how impressive he accelerated. But apart from the acceleration of the last 50 meters, Leighton, about his smoothness, there was just a smooth stride pattern that, to me, was just as impressive as the acceleration.
Yeah, that's one of the key things about being a great sprinter. The cadence that an athlete has can tell you just how good he's going to be. And when you look at his cadence is effortless. That turnover that he has is similar to what you'd see from, you know, I'm going to go age myself again, but a Houston McTeer back in the day, or Andre Kaysen, where they are able to turn their legs really, really quickly coming out of the blocks and get that speed up as quickly as possible. So you see that in Oblique Seville. Of course, Glenn Mills said he needed to add some muscle, and he has added some muscle. I still think he probably needs to add a little more. I mean, standing next to him, he's really tiny. But you're coming out of an era when you had a Safa Powell and you're seeing Bolt and, all of these tall or big muscular guys who are able to use that power to generate speed. I think maybe, a couple more pounds of muscle would help him. But right now he looks like close to being, closer to the finished product than he did last year.
Yeah, and even so, Lance describes his execution as smooth. Seville, in his post-match interview, said that, it wasn't perfect execution because he felt as if he didn't have the start that he wanted. Can you talk to us about that?
No, the start wasn't great at all. If you look at the start, he was actually behind the field after the first 20 or 30 meters, and then eventually he transitioned into the acceleration phase and then blew past the field. If he improves that start, or had a better start on Saturday night, that 9.86 could have easily been somewhere between 9.79 and 9.82 or 9.81, because he lost a few fractions there. So it's as Daniel said last year, it's a work in progress, but he's still a work in progress, because it's not about getting the consistency in all the different phases of his race. If he gets that consistency and gets the different phases of his race down pat or closer to where Glenn Mills would expect it to be, he's going to be a contender this year if he stays healthy, because clearly right now he has all the tools.
All right, Leighton. So we're going to move along now to our Olympic champion, Elaine Thompson-Herah. Talk to us about her performance and the fact that she was able to cup the sprint double in Kingston.
Well, I had a very interesting chat with her coach and husband afterwards, ThompsonHerah, and he told me that this was just a training session for Elaine, because, as you know, she was supposed to be running Birmingham, but she had some discomfort in the shoulder, and they chose to avoid traveling to Birmingham because they weren't sure how badly the injury would act out. As it did, it got better during the course of the week, and then eventually they decided on Friday they decided later in the week, I should say, not on Friday because I wasn't sure, whether that they were going to compete on Saturday. She came out and ran 10.95 in a minus 1.8 wind. And he says she was fully loaded, meaning that she had a heavy training week. So the 10.95 into a minus 1.8 wind is at 10.94, sorry, is about 10.81 basic, which means that she's already approaching 10.7 in still conditions. The big question then, of course, the 22.55 in the 200 tells you the same thing. It was rather relatively effortless, given that, it's a heavy training weekend about 45 minutes before she had run 100. So she had, a little bit of fatigue in those legs. So she's in, according to what he tells me, she's in a good place right now. He actually says that she's where he wants her to be, because the big element of her season now is what happens over the next 6 weeks as she prepares for the national championships, going into the world championships about 2 weeks later.
Leighton, the woman that people can't stop talking about, Shakira Richardson, the season opener, not flashy by the no standards. What did you read into it?
Underprepared. She's undercooked. I'm not surprised at how poorly she looked. I mean, yes, it was her season opener, but when she accelerated, you realize, if you watch the race, you realize that while she was accelerating, two people ran past her. She's not where she would have liked to be at this point of the season, given that the national championships in the US is a month away. She has a lot of work to do if she's going to be able to at least come on par with the likes of Abby Stein or Cambria Sturgis or any of the top women sprinters in the United States. She looked undercooked. And based on what we've been hearing from earlier this season, I'm not surprised. I mean, she ran a second race afterwards and ran 11.27, but still, this is not where you expect her to. I'm not expecting her to run 10.75, no, but certainly 11.27, looking the way she did, literally struggling to get her speed up, tells you that she's undercooked.
Yeah, and it's good that someone with your experienced head is saying that, because the obvious thing to map for a track and field fan is between now and the national trials in the US and what she displayed in those two races. And if we start a reference from the second race where she did the hand signal coming across the line, Is there enough time to whip her into the kind of shape which even allows her to make the US team, let alone go from there to challenge some hot-stepping Jamaicans?
I'm not sure how much time she actually missed in training, but based on what I saw last night, on the weekend, sorry, she probably would get into shape to run one good race. So she could actually navigate her way through the rounds and make the US team, but it won't be as impressive as it was last in 2021 when she ran 10.6s in the although Windy did in the semifinals and of course winning the finals in 10.8. Right now she doesn't look close to being sub-11 at all. So right now, a month away, yeah, she could get there, but can she repeat? And that's the issue, because the thing about it, George, is that even if she does make the US team for the women, which is, given the quality that we see in the US right now, would be a surprise. But the reality is the World Championships are 2 weeks after that. July 15th to 24th, I think it was. I don't think she'll have enough time from there on to get into the kind of shape to be even part of the equation of being a contender in Oregon, unless there's something that we don't know about. But based on what I've seen and what we've heard about so far this year, she might make the US team, but I don't think she'll be a factor afterwards.
Yeah.
Because she's on the hook.
Yeah, last one, if we take the Seville point once again, when you look at the list of the fastest man all time in the 100 meters, he is joined 24th. It's nothing to scoff at, Leighton, because he's sitting in a band. There are about 11 men in joint 24th. He's sitting in a band with, if you can compare him to active sprinters now, I know Michael Norman is best at a distance longer than 100, but 9.86 is his personal best at 100 meters. More importantly, Noah Lyles, who many people would see in a 100-meter field as a strong medal contender, 9.86 is also his personal best. And Seville so far is faster than our good friend, the Canadian 200 meters Olympic gold medalist, Andre de Grasse. So he's keeping good company. But the question I want to ask is, you know how people are, linear thinking, 1 + 1 = 2 all the time. Should we expect, even if he were to refine the things that his sage coach Glenn Mill has pinpointed, even if he puts on the muscle that he needs and fixes the start, should people expect any prodigious improvement on 9.86 when he starts to streamline?
Yeah, I think so, because this is now May, and he should be now in that cycle towards tapering towards the national championships. And the reason why I say this, George, is because when you hit that peak at the national championships, that peak is going to have to carry you through for the next 2 weeks, because there is not enough time to go through another cycle. So maybe you're hitting the top of your peak going into the World Championships. I think right now, based on what I saw on Saturday night, Oblique Seville is capable of going probably 9.79, 9.76 by the time the World Championships roll around. If he does that, I think he's probably a contender for medals. It comes down then now to his experience and whether or not he can keep his calm and his wits about him when he goes up against the best in the world.
Hear you on that. On cue. Right on cue. We're out of time. Thank you very much, Leighton. All the best.
Take it easy, guys.
Good. Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay informed.